So this is a story about how I learned to let go, open up, and get unstuck and express myself through a creative painting process. So about a year ago, I was really spiraling inside this negative relationship and had gotten into this place where I was feeling a little bit unseen and unheard. I kind of felt like this guy, this negative energy just coming down on me, and I had been suppressing my own emotions and my own self for so long that I became a little stifled. So I knew I had to escape, right? I knew I had to get out of this situation and let go and move on, but I wasn't quite sure how to do it. I did know that I had to take all of this negative tension and I had to turn it into something more positive. I just wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that. So that's really where the painting comes in. And it's also where Flora Bowley comes in. Flora is a painter in Portland. I've been following her work for years. She's a huge inspiration to me. And recently I was able to meet her in person and sit down and have a chat over tea. She teaches this course that she calls Brave Intuitive Painting. And she describes it as a pathway to your heart. So it's really less about the style and the technique and the color and the choices of painting and really more about opening up and expressing yourself and your own creativity. So this sounded amazing to me, but tiny hiccup, I'm not a painter, and until this point I had convinced myself that I had zero artistic bones in my body. So this was really scary for me, but I decided to jump in and kind of embrace my fear and take this course. And changed my life, and I'd like to share with you a little bit about how that happened. So I have 6 mantras that I'd like to share. And the first one is about jumping in. So I really feel like you need to let go of expectations, and you need to kind of let go of the plan and just move forward, even if it means into ambiguity, and kind of embrace this sense of newness. So day 1 in this course, Flora said, okay, put on some music, close your eyes, and just start to dance, okay? So I'm like, okay, how does this have to do with painting? But I start dancing and moving, and eventually I'm moved to paint, and I start painting onto a canvas, and I start to see what music feels like and sounds like, and it's amazing, it's liberating, and I'm starting to see all my emotions playing out on the canvas, which gets a little messy. Right, so the second mantra, you need to embrace the mess. So it's not going to all be clean and perfect when you start to let loose a little bit, when you start to dance it out. But I think this is where things get really interesting, because I think it's when you stay inside the mess and you start to work with it and feel it and see what's working and what's not that you can actually enjoy the mess a little bit, and it becomes a little bit more fun. So inside this mess that I was creating, I found this third mantra to be really helpful, and that is the mantra of spiraling out. So it's really about taking a step back from the canvas, taking time to reflect, kind of seeing what's not working, what's not serving you, following the things you're craving and the things you're loving. And this started to show up in my life more and more, right? Principles like this. It all became part of this big story. So this is an example of a really early layer when I was very aggressive and fiery and angry. And then this is a more calm layer, same canvas, but several weeks later, and it starts to get a little bit more focused. You're like, I don't see it, I don't see the focus. It's a little more focused. So it started to just be this really interesting process for me of crafting this story. And I started to become more myself and more full of love and more back to me before the negative energy. And the fourth mantra then came to me of share this love, right? So now that this is inside me, I want to get it out and I want to be able to give it to other people. And this was part of the process. Part of Flora's process was to embrace social media. So Instagram, which despite my job I'm really bad at, and it scares me a lot, but it was amazing because I have all these friends who supported me and encouraged me to do it, and that felt really good. This is the hardest one. So it turned out I was really good at the playing and the exploring and the dancing and being curious and open, and not so good at the committing part. So one day I'm with Flora in her studio, and she's kind of looking at my paintings, and she's like, You're not committing to anything. And I was like, oh, she's like, you need to commit. You need to make a decision. And I was like, shocking. No one about me ever say that about me. Like, it's, horribly true. I'm indecisive. I'm bad at commitment. And it was really interesting to see it showing up on the canvas. So this is non-committal, and then I chose yellow, which was baby steps for me. So the last mantra is to stay open to change, because I think the real art in the commitment is when you're able to open yourself to the periphery that the universe is offering, right? So how can you make the commitment playful and stay open to what's around you, even though you're full-heartedly jumping into something else? So in this one, I discovered this copper paint, and then also that this comb I had would make these little dots if I held it a certain way. And so now this canvas is covered in copper dots, which probably won't stay for long, but it was about being playful inside this commitment of choosing copper. So how does that show up in life? So for me, it showed up in a way of getting me unstuck, opening up, and really finding this truer form of self-expression that I had lost when I was feeling more stifled. So my hope for you is that you might be able to embrace your own creative process and your own mini mantras that help you get closer to expressing yourself, because it's worth it, even in the messiness. So I'm going to leave you with some words from John O'Donohue, because he's amazing. And he says, awaken your spirit to adventure, for your soul senses the world that awaits you.